Pregame.com.
We got a Friday night NBA best bet from Bryan Leonard. The battle between the Pacers and the Celtics from Boston, and the Celtics right now laying 3. Total right around 181.5. And Brian, first things first, Danny Granger still out for the Indiana Pacers. Rajon Rondo has the hip injury, but he's expected to play on Friday night as we speak. Pacers can't score, they can't shoot, but man, are they nasty on the defensive end.
Yeah, very good defensive team. And you mentioned the scoring. 17 of 19 games, they failed to reach the century mark. Their high scoring output on the year in regulation is 104 points. It's a team that they just look ugly. I mean, even when they score, it's second or third shots. Nothing seems to be in transition. It's just an ugly basketball team, but they're talented.
Well, I was going to say, this is one of those deals where Marco and I can start talking about if there's snot flying. A little bit different. We used to talk about that and save it for football. But in this particular case, Indiana's about as close as you can get to the gridiron when it comes to the NBA. But here the Celtics really struggling. When they lost 4 in a row, and they've lost by almost 20 points per game. And I was reading a great article on Thursday afternoon talking about the difference between Boston's defense when Kevin Garnett, is on the floor as opposed to when he's not. They are the best defense in the NBA as far as efficiency is concerned when he's on the court. When he's off the court, they are last, even worse than the Charlotte Bobcats. That's pretty nasty when KG's not on the floor.
I got to agree with that. And I don't know which side you're going to be on here, Brian, but this is one of the situational plays that I absolutely love as far as the Boston Celtics. Mm-hmm. Boston Celtics in their last game lost, but they returned home from a road trip. And anybody that's followed me for a long time, podcast videos and that, I always talk about, I don't care if it's baseball, basketball, whatever it is. When you come home from a long road trip, that first game back at home, you're out of sync. You're a normal person. You've got family and things to deal with. And they played, and it didn't help that they played a very good team in Memphis. I think second game back home, you're going to get a good effort out of the Boston Celtics tonight. And will that be enough? We'll have to see, because Indiana, like you said, they're going to make you work for every bucket that you get. But Boston at home on a Friday night, I would be leaning to the Boston side.
I think the Indiana offense, that's about the best I can call them, is just what the doctor ordered for Boston. And you just hit it on the head. They played badly that first home game back. And I like it when the players start talking, when the players start getting down on themselves, and when they're accomplished veterans like the Boston Celtics have. Brian, this one is your best bet.
There's a reason why I'm sitting here with Marco. He's a smart man. I'll be on the Boston Celtics also. Something I've never said before. Probably something he's never heard before. Anyway, I'll be on the Boston Celtics here. And not only did they lose 4 straight games, they got blown out in those 4 straight games. And what's interesting about Boston is when Indiana's a very slow-paced team. When Boston plays a team that's slow-paced, they can compete with those teams. When they play the teams that run up and down the court, the Western Conference teams, they struggle against those type of teams. Well, Indiana, as we pointed out, makes everything ugly. So this is probably the perfect team that they're playing. If you take a look at Boston's schedule, the next 2 games, they go to Atlanta tomorrow, and then they play at New York against the Knicks. This could get really ugly for Boston if they don't win this game. I'm not a big proponent of must-win games, but if you're a Boston Celtic player, you have to have this game, and the line is where they're going to win, they're going to cover. I like the Celtics here.
Good stuff, Brian. And please be nice to Marco D. It is Thursday as we shoot these videos. I need him to be in a good mood when we're in the studio doing the radio show, first preview on Thursday night. I don't need an angry Marco. You don't want to be around when there's an angry Marco. Anyway, Brian's best bet, Boston Celtics Friday night minus the points. When we come back to pregame.tv, we've got the college football matchup on Saturday, the Compass Bowl. Pittsburgh taking on Ole Miss. Stick around for that and more.